It ain't our ball. It ain't our ball. It's our ball, ain't it? It's our ball. Hey, it's our ball. It's our ball. Dane just laid the ball up down there.
All right, welcome back to this semester's edition of the Sports Knowledgists podcast. I am your temporary host, Brad Walliver. To my right is Blake, and then we have James and Pat along board again. So let's get right into it. First one, obviously the Super Bowl coming up in 2 weeks here. Well, a little less than 2 weeks. Eagles against the Chiefs. Pretty lopsided Eagles victory that last Sunday, and then close one with the Chiefs and the Bengals. James, we'll start with you. First impressions. What are we thinking? You know, who's coming out on top next Sunday?
I might be biased because I'm a Giants fan, but I think the Eagles had the absolute easiest trip to the Super Bowl. They haven't played a competitive team yet. 49ers, yeah, they got a great defense, but their quarterback was taken out in the first drive with a torn UCL. I don't think that game proves anything, and I'm going to be getting my Mahomes jersey shipped over for the Super Bowl. I'll be rooting for the Chiefs. It's going to be a high-scoring game. I think like a 27-24 finish for the Chiefs, yeah.
Nice. Pat?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough one because I agree with James. I think we really don't know what the potential of this Eagles team is. No disrespect to the Giants. They had a great season, but they weren't ready for the moment, I don't think. They beat the Vikings with a negative point differential. So I don't think we can read too much into the Giants win. It's hard to read into the 49ers win. I mean, the offense looks great against the 49ers. Let's get that out of the way. 49ers are one of the best defenses in the league, and the Eagles ran all over them. The Chiefs' run defense, I don't believe, is anything special. So I think the Eagles could do some serious damage against the Chiefs. I think it will be a close, probably pretty high-scoring game. It'll be a good one. I think I'm going to take the Eagles if for no other reason than we're near Philly and Eagles fans frighten me.
That's fair, Blake. What are we thinking?
I think it's going to be interesting to see Patrick Mahomes' mobility. I think that the Eagles' defense is going to make him flush out of the pocket a lot more often than the Bengals' defense was able to. I think that they're going to run a lot of stunts. They're going to have a lot of DB blitzes, try to get him out of the pocket as much as possible. Obviously, it's Patrick Mahomes. He's still going to be great. It'll just be interesting to see how he holds up. And then I think it's going to be interesting to see how the Chiefs' defensive line plays. I know Chris Jones and Frank Clark had a great game last week. They were huge difference makers in that game against the Bengals. So I think that'll be a difference maker too. I think the Eagles' offense is looking really good. They're running on all cylinders. I think it will be a decently high-scoring game as well, somewhere in the 20s, I might say. I'm going to go with the Chiefs just because of their experience. I think Andy Reid is so good. So I'm going to say 24-20 Chiefs.
Yeah, I'm going with the Chiefs. I don't like the Eagles. I don't know. It's just annoying. But, given the fact that I was asleep for the second half of the Chiefs-Bengals game, I can't really give you an accurate description of how that game went. But I feel like I didn't hear enough of Jerick McKinnon in that game. Correct me if I'm wrong, Pat. I don't think he was very involved in that game.
He wasn't.
So,
I don't think so. It was mostly Pacheco doing all the heavy lifting for the Chiefs.
Yeah. Gotcha. I think he's going to be the X factor for the Chiefs. For the Eagles, if Jalen Hurts doesn't get him 2 to 3 touchdowns, whether that be through the air or on the ground, I think they're doomed. Which I think he's going to give them the 3 touchdowns anyway. I think it's going to come down to the defenses. But yeah, and then on the Chiefs side, obviously, Jerick McKinnon at the end of the regular season and early in the playoffs, he was explosive. So I'm going to honestly go with a blowout. I'm going to go 34-20 Chiefs. 1, because of wishful thinking. 2, because I feel like the last couple Super Bowls, especially Tampa Bay against the Chiefs, was not really a close game, and people thought it was going to be close.
Right.
Yeah, we'll go with a 14 point deficit there. That should be a good one nonetheless.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Going off the Jerick McKinnon thing, I think it's going to be interesting to look at the health of the Chiefs' skill players.
Mm-hmm.
Travis Kelce had back spasms before the last game. He was a game time decision.
Right.
He still played. I don't think he played outstanding, or at least up to Travis Kelce levels.
Mm-hmm.
And not outstanding is as good as pretty much anyone else in the league. But then, Sky Moore was their wide receiver one in that game.
Yeah.
Along with Marquez Valdez-Scantling, who did play extremely well, but
Right.
let's be real, he's not going to be facing Eli Apple this week.
Yeah.
He'll be facing Darius Slay and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson.
Yeah,
So.
I do think I also saw a report today that Mecole Hardman is almost definitely not playing
Okay.
in the Super Bowl. So that's
brutal.
that's a tough loss for the Chiefs because he's been a revelation for them this year.
Yeah.
He's been really good.
Yeah, that'll be a good one. That's next Sunday, the 12th? Yeah, it's the 12th. I'm trying to do math there.
They probably know when the Super Bowl
Yeah,
is if they're
you'll-
watching this.
You'll know. Anyway, more NFL news. Tom Brady retiring again. Pretty sad day for me waking up. I was honestly numb to it. I mean, I saw it, I was like, okay.
Already happened once.
Yeah, it already happened once. I kind of want to get a vibe on the table. I'll start with Blake. Do you think that he's really done? Like, given that this is his second time retiring, and all the openings around the league. I mean, you still have Aaron Rodgers that's not committed. Do you think that this is actually it for him?
I do. I honestly do. I mean, you saw what happened with like his family arrangement when he decided to come back.
No.
I think he's really. I mean, I really just don't see what else he has to like give. Like, not that he is the ultimate competitor, and obviously he can still do more. He played great this season. I just think for him, it's like, what else do I have to like really want out of this?
Right.
What else am I really like willing to give up? But also as a Saints fan, I kind of hope he doesn't come back because like he has ruined my past 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah, Pat, what do we think?
Yeah, I think he's done. I think there's no reason to assume he is, like, it's another, like, fake out retirement because he has every opportunity available to him. He could return to Tampa. The Raiders would do anything to get him. The Niners would do anything to get him. There's so many teams who would love to have him that are, like, really good opportunities, great skill position players, great coaching. If he wanted to play, he wouldn't have retired. So I think this is it. Capping off an incredible career. Obviously, the GOAT, one of the GOATs just across all of sports. I don't think that's a question in anyone's mind at this point. I do think it leaves an interesting opening in the NFC South, though, because none of those teams are looking very good. So
Yeah.
I think it could really come down to a big breakout star in that league, in that division, being the deciding factor.
Jameis Winston.
Could be Jameis Winston.
Could be Jaboo.
I don't know about that. James?
Yeah, I agree. I think he's definitely done. But I don't know. Like the whole thing with his wife and his family, I feel like it was kind of the timing is just a little off. I feel like going into this year, he must have thought he was going to win a Super Bowl or something. But he, compared to his past seasons, he's totally underperformed. I guess he made the playoffs, but with a losing record. I think it's his first losing record, like the most losses he's ever had. I think he should have done it last year.
Speaking of football, another thing that happened this week was Tom Brady has retired from the NFL.
He's definitely done now, but good for him. Hopefully he gets like a spot on like a talk show or something.
I think-
analysis.
I think he's got to deal with Fox.
Yeah,
He's
right,
not going to be
yeah.
on the Super Bowl.
Not for the Super Bowl, because they apparently didn't know he was retiring.
Yeah.
Like, this was news to everyone.
Invite him onto Sports Knowledgists.
Yeah, Tom Brady. If you're
Yeah.
watching this, hop on the pod.
I'm your biggest fan. Please come on board.
Come
Anyway,
on.
no, he's not coming. Anyway, I'm gonna hold out hope until about August time when training camp starts up and he gets that itch. He's like, man, I should be doing something right now.
Training montage.
Oh yeah.
On the
Yeah.
beach.
You'll know if he's coming back, but I'm gonna hold out hope. But I think it's not really worth it.
I
Brad,
also-
the real question is, now that Tom Brady's retired, what's your team? Who are you rooting for?
No comment. Anyway, we're gonna move on.
We'll see where Aaron Rodgers goes, I guess.
No, we're not doing that. Anyway.
Just be ready when you run into Brad next year and he's all decked out in Chiefs gear.
Yeah.
Won't happen. Anyway, let's switch gears. Let's switch leagues over to the NBA. Another GOAT that I admire, LeBron James. Slowly, but fastly approaching. Slowly approaching. What am I talking about?
Slowly but fastly approaching.
Yeah, there you go. Approaching Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's scoring record. He's about 90 points away. 3 games from now, it should be around when the Lakers play the Thunder. I mean, James, what are your thoughts on like the magnitude of how incredible this is?
Well, obviously, like He's one of the best players of all time. I would love to argue he's a GOAT, but it's a lot of controversy around it. But I think breaking the scoring record, which is inevitable now, it's something that you could totally add to his resume that I think is a very valid argument to make him the GOAT. It also makes me wonder why Kareem isn't mentioned as much in the argument, simply because he's had the scoring record for so long. I definitely think LeBron passing this is a huge deal. I think it secures him as a GOAT, but a lot of people think otherwise. It's fine.
Pat, I'm sure you're one of those that probably doesn't consider him the GOAT, but
I think he's a GOAT, not the GOAT, if that makes sense. He's on the tier, but I'd probably put Jordan over him just because of the consistency, at least as far as how he elevates his team. LeBron, he's an elite all-time top 2 talent, top 2 player, top 2 career. It's just so impressive the longevity he's had to be able to put up these numbers year in, year out. He's 38 years old. That's not normal, especially in a sport like basketball that's so reliant on athleticism. And his style of play is so reliant on athleticism, and he's still doing this now. It's unheard of. It's unprecedented. And it's just cool to watch because this isn't the kind of thing that you can just see every other year,
Right.
This, and I can think of Steph Curry breaking the 3-point record last year. These are once in a generation type records. So it's really cool to be able to watch that unfold and be I've watched LeBron play so many times, and it's just something to think about. It's just so cool to think about being an NBA fan while LeBron's at his peak.
right. What do you think?
I totally agree with that sentiment. I mean, thinking about how long LeBron has been in the league and how much the game has evolved since 2003, he has evolved with the game. I think the game has evolved with him in a lot of ways. Obviously, his 3-point shooting has evolved a little bit, not as much as the league overall, but he's still hitting the occasional logo 3.
Patented.
But yeah, patented. But I mean, I would agree that he is a GOAT. I wouldn't say he is the GOAT. I still have to give Jordan that, and I think that comes down to almost the Tom Brady argument. I would say LeBron is probably the most talented overall player that has ever played in the league before. I'd just say Jordan is the best winner in the terms of the way that Tom Brady is. I'd say Peyton Manning might be the most talented quarterback that we've ever seen.
Maybe Dan
Marino too,
yeah.
but Tom Brady just wins. He wins championships. So I think that's the biggest factor when it comes to it. So, but LeBron, I mean, as many terrible moments as I've had, ripping my hair out watching him, I gotta give him his respect, and it's very cool to be able to see him break this record coming up.
Yeah, I mean, he's the GOAT. There's no discussion. No, he's the GOAT.
I think there's at least a little discussion.
No, there's no discussion at this point. Once he breaks that record, I mean, he's within the top 5 in assists. I mean, he's going to get bored, but obviously he's not a big man like there have been in the past. But, yeah, I mean, all around, and a leader off the court, too. I know that doesn't really impact on the court, but I think you have to at least factor that in a little bit, too.
Definitely.
All right, next topic on at least the NBA front. Pat, we're going to start with you on
Yeah.
the All-Star reserves. 20 minutes before starting recording just came out, and we had a little bit of a debrief on that. I wanted to get your opinion. Did you think that there were any snubs on that list, or did they get it pretty accurate?
I mean, there are going to be snubs every year. You look at James Harden not making it. Anthony Davis and Devin Booker are both all-star talents who have been hurt for a lot of the year. It was a shame Jalen Brunson didn't make it. I was rooting for him, but Julius Randle made it. You weren't going to give the Knicks 2 all-stars. They hadn't quite earned that. But honestly, I'm really happy with the reserves that we got. I love to see first-time guys make it. So the fact that we got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Jaren Jackson Jr., Tyrese Halliburton, all sorts of guys like that who are up and coming. I think it's really exciting to see them in the game because that's who people want to see, and it's nice to see guys like that to prove that it's not solely a popularity contest. You can have young guys on small market teams who are balling out, still make it to the All-Star game, and that's what it's all about. You want to see the guys who are, putting their teams on their backs, just playing great basketball. So, I don't know. This might actually make me excited for the NBA All-Star game. I really like the teams that we got.
Blake, I know you got it pulled up over here.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the rosters. I mean, I actually wasn't aware that Zion was a starter until about 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, I
that
didn't realize
kind
that.
of surprised me, considering he hasn't really played much. I guess the starters are half fan vote, so
Yeah.
that has some sway to do with it. One person I was surprised not to see was De'Aaron Fox, but I
Mhm.
guess you already do have Sabonis. And I also think that the West backcourt reserves is so stacked with
Yeah.
Dame, Ja,
And Shea.
and Shea. Like,
It was gonna
you
be-
really can't replace any of those guys. So, I mean, De'Aaron Fox is a great player, and he might make an All-NBA team,
Yeah.
sneak in there. But I really think they did a great job with it. I think Harden, there's an argument for him maybe over like DeRozan, just because the Bulls haven't been great this year, but at the same time DeRozan's kind of been the man in Chicago for a down team, so I think you got to give him his props.
Yeah, James.
Yeah, I think especially in a year where offense is at an all-time high, defense, I would assume, all-time low. But you got everyone putting over 20 a game. You got a few putting over 30. Like, there's going to be snubs. But on the bright side, there's always a lot of replacements that happen, mostly because people sit out. Load management, we were talking about that. Maybe Paul George, see what happens with him. But someone's going to be hurt. Someone's going to fill in for them. So there's definitely be some other guys getting in there. But yeah, I agree. I like that there's some new guys in there, the young talent. It's great to see them in. I know we didn't mention him, but Lauri Markkanen. I think
Yeah.
it's very, very nice to see him after getting traded and being on the Jazz when they're supposed to be in a rebuild season, and he's having a most improved player type of season. I think that it's great to see him in the All-Star game, and it's gonna be exciting to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Pat. I think Brunson deserved it. I don't know, Villanova product, and truly proved that he was worth every dollar of that contract with the Knicks.
Absolutely.
I mean, other than that, the more I think about it, the more I think you guys are right that they kind of got it on the spot. The only thing I'm worried about is it's going to be like a NFL Pro Bowl type thing where they just start naming anybody to go to these All-Star
Yeah.
for replacements. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I hope that doesn't happen, but we'll see. I think the NBA's got it a little bit more on lock.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's gonna be a show with the good players that they have here.
Absolutely.
We're gonna do a quick shout out, Maddie Segrist. Before we started filming, she broke the record for most points scored, men's or women's, in the basketball program. Shout out, Maddie Segrist. I mean, you're the GOAT. You're carrying the basketball program right now.
Best basketball player on the campus.
Absolutely. So
Someone could use her.
keep doing your thing. We'll obviously be watching. I mean, I'm definitely going to the UConn game. That's going to be crazy. To have UConn in our conference now as one of the perennial best teams in women's basketball, that's going to be really cool.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping the students come out for that game. It should be really good. Yeah, she's the GOAT. So shout out to you. Blake, we got one more topic. I know you wanted to talk a little bit UFC.
Yeah, so I think after the fights that have been booked up to this point, I think this could be possibly the best year in mixed martial arts that we've seen since 2016 with the Conor McGregor-Nate Diaz fights, and of course the Conor McGregor double champ status fight. Next weekend, the day before the Super Bowl, we have the lightweight champion Islam Makhachev fighting the featherweight champion Alexander Volkanovski, the number 1 and number 2 pound-for-pound fighters in the world. That's in Australia. And then in March, Johnny Bones Jones is coming back for the first time in 3 years, and this time he's not fighting at light heavyweight, which he has his whole career. He's finally doing what he said he was going to do. He's moving up to heavyweight after Francis Ngannou, unfortunately, did not re-sign with the UFC. He's now a free agent. He vacated the belt. Jones will be fighting Cyril Gane from France, who's the number 1 contender in the heavyweight division. Then, later in March, in London, Leon Edwards will fight Kamaru Usman for the 3rd time, defending his belt after that knockout of the year, head kick knockout in the 5th round at UFC 278. And then in the beginning of April, Israel Adesanya is coming back to try and get his belt back from Alex Pereira, who knocked him out in the 5th round of their fight in November. And Jorge Masvidal is also coming back on that card against Gilbert Burns. So exciting stuff.
It's a lot of fights.
Yeah.
I actually do a lot of people in
Yeah.
that, so that means
There we go.
they're going to be good fights.
Big time names.
Yeah, I heard they're really into NASCAR too.
What a transition.
Terrible transition. Anyway, we're gonna plug a little NASCAR here because I'm hosting this week. So You're welcome for that. Busch Light Clash at the Coliseum, Sunday, 8 p.m. It'll probably be already over by the time this comes out. Prediction for that, I'm hoping Joey Logano can repeat, take the victory again. But I mean, you never know. It's the Clash. It's going to be kind of throw a blanket under, and whoever comes out is going to come out. I don't know. Daytona 500, also another great race. It's going to be fantastic. Same thing. You're never really going to know who's going to win that one, so it's going to be a great race. Should be a good season.
Can't wait.
Couldn't have said it any better myself.
There you go. All right. Appreciate everybody tuning in. We'll catch you next time.